NBA Conference Semi-Finals are underway, and we recap what happened in each series so far. We also react to Nikola Jokic winning the NBA MVP and also the Phoenix Suns firing Frank Vogel. Stay tuned for our reaction to the Champions League semi-final legs.
We're officially 2 games into the NBA playoff second round, and man oh man, there's some upset potential here that we have to start off with, which no one thought. The Minnesota Timberwolves are up 2-0 on the defending champions and reigning MVP, more on that talk later, Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. No one thought this, and there's a potential sweep because Minnesota got those wins on the road.
Anthony Edwards is him. The Minnesota defense is it. And without Rudy Gobert in Game 2 attending the birth of his child, they still absolutely put on a defensive clinic. Doesn't matter, top through bottom, roster 1 to 15, whoever's in the rotation, they're going to give you a defensive. They're going to make it tough defensively. We saw that Jamal Murray gets smothered. We're seeing Jokic get smothered. And the top through bottom, this Minnesota defense is relentless. And this Minnesota team overall is kind of looking like a juggernaut in these playoffs.
Yeah, this was the only team we said that outside of if it's one-on-one with the Lakers to give the Nuggets trouble. But one-on-one, though, right? This is a team thing, right? They have, like we said when we were doing the preview, they got the big man combo, 3 big man combo if you want to throw in Nas Reed in there. And then Jaden McDaniels could give a little tough minutes to Jokic if he really needs to. But they're doing that. And then you got options on Jamal Murray with Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards, Mike Conley, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And yeah, Jamal Murray's a little banged up as well. It doesn't help with how he's playing. Obviously, your argument from last year kind of is not being good right now, but it's just not him. Obviously, Jokic hasn't been the same as well, even though he's obviously getting his easy buckets and rebounds.
Man, stop bringing back the argument. He was a god. He was a god.
But you got to be consistent.
He was a god. That's all you got to say.
I think it was Windhorst who said this, but someone said this on ESPN and was like, it feels like Chris Finch, I know he's not the lead coach right now, but he's still there, was like planning this since last year's exit, and then because it looks like the Nuggets have no clue how to go against that type of defense. And I listened to Anthony Davis, who was on the Backyard podcast or something like that with D'Angelo Russell, saying that, I told you this off camera, but like obviously a fun fact for people. This is from Anthony Davis. This is based on what he said on the podcast, that his Pelicans team, where it was him and Boogie, the front court, it was actually Chris Finch who was the mastermind behind it, how it runs. So, if we had known that when the trade happened, we could have been like, okay, maybe it could work out. But to our point as well, that's Anthony Davis and pre-injury DeMarcus Cousins, aka Boogie. Now, to be fair, yeah, they're way better than the current frontcourt duo, but it still helps that you still have a defensive juggernaut and you have an offensive guy that could complement well. And Chris Finch knows how to play with 2 bigs because the modern NBA has like a small ball 5. We saw the Rockets literally run PJ Tucker at the 5 or Robert Covington at the 5, the Russell Westbrook year. But now it looks like the Minnesota Timberwolves are saying that no, we're bringing back the big man combo, go back in the day style. You need to be big and physical like the NHL is. Vegas brought it back. This year's Canucks brought it back with adding Zadorov and all these guys. It's been very fun to watch them, how they're locking them down defensively. And it works because Anthony Edwards, who's playing like a superstar and probably will be a superstar by the end of next year, for my calculations, standards.
Who is a superstar.
Yeah, he's like I said.
Simple as this. Anthony Edwards is the reason why this team clicks. We all know this. Because he is their offense, right?
And the key thing is
Cat,
Cat is like pretty much said that, this is Ant's team now, right?
Yeah.
Cat could have that ego of being like, well, this was my team. What are you doing? What are you talking about?
Yeah, but it's clear Anthony Edwards is the offense of this team. And it's clearly that he is the focus. And the best part of Ant's game is that, he doesn't take defense off, right? No possessions off on defense. And that's a classic two-way player, like how we saw Kawhi in Toronto, like how we saw Kawhi in San Antonio, LeBron in the Miami days, where defense wasn't, it wasn't a rest, it was necessary. And this whole Timberwolves team is playing like that. But obviously, I'm talking about the offensive side. Anthony Edwards' 3-point shooting has been a pleasant surprise because that was his weakness in his offensive game. We already know he could make the shots, right? Tough shots, fadeaways, step backs, whatever it is. He's just on a whole nother level. And if he's on a whole nother level right now, that Timberwolves team is going to be on a whole nother level. And obviously, it does help when Cat's, doing his part, hitting his threes, doing his part offensively as well. Don't get me wrong, it's not just only Anthony Edwards as I try to break our set. But it's just clicking right now is because this guy is just on a superstar mode right now, and that's just making the whole team look like in a superstar mode. But credit to them, credit to Chris Finch,
Everybody's bought in.
credit to the assistant who's running the show right now, even though Chris Finch is still running the show. And everyone's bought in, like you said, 1 to 15. Whoever's gonna be on the court is gonna give it to you. Is gonna make it tough for any opponent. And right, coming into series, we knew that this matchups are gonna be different because who's gonna guard Jamal Murray, Anthony Edwards. Who's gonna guard MPJ, McDaniels because of the length, right? That's why MPJ was so successful in round one.
It's not even that. They're like alternating.
Yeah,
So
no,
it's
it doesn't
different
matter. But I'm
looks.
just saying, like, they're just way better than you and defensively because MPJ was shooting all over your guards, right? They just match up with the Denver Nuggets in best in the NBA, right? Doesn't like I'm just giving you examples of who is like I don't care about alternating. They could legit stick 1-on-1. They don't need to
No,
alternate.
but the point of alternating is because
They don't have to. It doesn't matter, bro. That's what I'm just saying.
No,
They're
I think it slightly
they're
does matter
good.
because the reason why.
No,
they're
no,
doing the
bro, you're not
alternating
getting
is
my
'cause of
point. You're not
last
getting my
year.
point.
How?
Because they're just so good defensively, right?
Yeah.
Alternating, yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm just giving you a lay down of like, why each matchup is perfect. For
But yeah, no,
for
I
a
get
guard.
that, but my point
I'm not
is-
saying okay, let me finish my point though. Like I'm trying to lay it I'm trying to lay it out that like, reason why MPJ is being guarded by Jaden McDaniels is that Austin Reeves doesn't have the length
Yeah, but
on
I'm
that.
not comparing it to that Laker team. I'm comparing
That's
it to
what I'm
last year's
comparing to,
Timberwolves
though.
team. I'm comparing it to last year's Timberwolves team.
But I'm just comparing why MPJ is telling you why MPJ hasn't been a factor.
Oh yeah, I get
That's
that.
what I'm trying to say here.
That's fair. But I'm
Right?
saying, but my point is that when you're saying the one-on-one, what do you call it? The one-on-one. I'm saying the alternating is a factor because
Yeah,
last year,
okay, because you
they
didn't let me
probably-
finish
They
my-
probably learned from that mistake and then they went off
Obviously,
of it.
yeah, we know that. If you didn't let me get to that, that's the thing, right? I'm trying to say is that length is a factor. That's why MPJ hasn't been a factor in the series. And obviously, the big man rotation is Cat, Gobert, whoever it is. They're doing a good job on them. And then obviously now this is where your point comes in. That's their initial matchup. They could switch whenever they want, right? 1 to 5, they could just switch.
Yeah, but like I said, like it's not like Anthony Edwards is on him from minute 1 to end, right? Like
That's what I'm not
I
saying.
think it's like Mike Conley starts off, but then like Anthony Edwards gets a couple possessions here and there.
That's just how it is, bro.
But
Like,
yeah, no, like
I'm just trying to lay it out for the people, but like before the rotation stuff. I'm just saying reason why the matchups are so good is because when it comes down to it, Ant is on Murray, McDaniels is on MPJ because MPJ is not a factor because he has length on him, right? MPJ is a big scorer, like a Kevin Durant type mold, right? He could shoot over anyone that's like 6'5" or under. As simple as that. McDaniel's length is the main reason why I'm saying that he's not a factor. And yes, they could rotate. They have the ability to do that. I'm not saying don't rotate. I'm not saying don't alternate looks. But I'm just saying this is why Michael Porter Jr. wasn't as good in this series and he was really good in round 1 against you guys.
yeah, no,
That's what I'm trying to say.
yeah, fair. But the credit to that is also because Chris Finch also learned from what he did last year. Now Michael Malone's up on the graph
Yeah,
to
he-
figure out what he needs
yeah.
to do because he can't figure out what he did. That caused him so much difference because wasn't it 4-1 last year?
It was
When Denver
4-1.
beat him? No, I get it. Jamal Murray is hurt. He's hobbled. But he's also clearly frustrated. People thought he should have been suspended. Instead, he got a $100K fine, which is a hefty fine considering sports.
One of the big fines, yeah.
It's like obviously compared to what guys usually get, but yeah, no, it's something crazy to see because here's the question now: are they a legit title contender?
I mean, they're playing like it, right? They got rid of the Suns just like that.
Yeah.
Everyone's contender right there, right? They're absolutely dominating the reigning defending champions.
Only undefeated team.
They're only
They're
they're the only undefeated team in the playoffs
in the NBA
at
yeah.
the moment in the NBA, and Yeah, and it just simply helps. They're healthier than last year too. That's also a big factor.
They're dominating so much that people are like, you know what, we might need to not criticize the Suns as much as they need to as they're making the Denver Nuggets look.
But yeah,
Right?
no, it helps because reason big difference last year was because McDaniels broke his arm. They're coming
Yeah.
into the series in a freaking Gobert and Kyle Anderson freaking trying to knock each other out one game before the playoffs. So shit was gonna happen last year. It wasn't surprising that was 4-1, but
No credit to the team though for turning that around because clearly last year there were some random culture issues.
yeah,
Even though it was like their first year together with Gobert's first year with them together. This year everybody knows their role. Everybody's bought in. Mike Conley is the calm peace
The leader.
guy,
The
right?
leader.
The leader, but I'm just saying the peace guy as well. Just to calm the game down and everything like that. So like and Anthony Edwards emerged. Like last year he struggled offensively. This year he's been all 6 games, even maybe except one of the Phoenix games, but even the game clincher against Phoenix, he was off in the first half, but then he kept going. Second half he went nuts, right? So it's gonna be interesting.
the
But we're
question
gonna
is
talk about
this.
Denver now.
The question is this. Me personally, I don't see a world where Denver gets back in the series. From what I've seen in the first 2 games.
I need to see Game 3 and the adjustments because now good news is they had a lot of time, a lot of rest, and Jamal Murray could heal up a little bit. I need to see what Michael Malone's adjustments are gonna be, right? Because like I could see I gotta give him credit because he's a damn good coach, right? There's a reason why he's been extended. He's a championship coach, so you gotta give him props because he makes adjustments on the fly very well. It's just this series because of this length, like you mentioned, is causing issues with him with the game planning. So he's gotta figure that out. And that's where I need to see how he's going to make the adjustments, whether it be ball movement, whether it be even on the defensive side, what defensive matchups work well. Because, they don't have, like, who's going to be the main guy on Anthony Edwards as well. Do they run a 2-big lineup if they have to as well? But I need to see what the offensive adjustments going to be. And, like, I could see a world because I'm not going to disrespect the Nuggets like that, right? I understand, like, where you're coming from. It's just like if this was almost any other team, right? And especially in the Western Conference, I'd be like, "Yep, you're right, 100%." Like, I don't like the way that these guys have played, like the way the Timberwolves and I guess we're gonna talk about the Nuggets next, or sorry, the Thunder next. These guys are young, hungry. Most of the for the Timberwolves, the main guys are like young and hungry, and it's like they have defense on their mind. Like they're like we put them on underdogs. Like we were we were debating on whether we should put Timberwolves in that underdog list, and we went with the Dallas Mavericks, right? Which is still fair at the end of the day, right?
It's not like now,
Because we didn't think the
now
Timberwolves
Timberwolves
were
are on
good.
Timberwolves are on the contender list. But here's my adjustment. Offensively, it's gonna be tough. But I'm looking at the defensive side, right? If you're getting 60 points in 3 quarters,
Yeah,
why the hell are they getting 90?
yeah,
Right? That can't slide, right? Offense, they're good defense, right? They're gonna make it tough on you. They have made it tough on you, but why aren't you making it tough on them? Why is Anthony Edwards going off for 30 points after like 3 quarters essentially, and why is Cat popping off? Why is all these guys popping off? Right? That's where the adjustments need to come first. That's where the focus should be, in my opinion, on Game 3. We're like, this is the adjustments for Game 3 of how we slow down Ant. And you slow down Ant, you might slow down the offense of Timberwolves.
yeah.
And because
no,
of
it
that,
is. That's
you
literally
turn
it.
you turn a 90-60 game 2 after 3 quarters to a 70-60 game, essentially.
Yeah, no, that's literally it. And
Like obviously offensive adjustments, honestly, whatever adjustments you make, it's gonna get burnt after like halftime.
if there's any team that's down 0-2 on the road and in this playoffs especially, I'm not gonna count out the Nuggets. Yes, Game 3 will determine it. It's gonna be tough, right? Like I won't be surprised if you're right. And then like, are you leaning sweep?
No, I'm not leaning sweep.
Are you leaning 4-1? Then,
I'm going.
because if you're saying no world, it has to be like 4-1 or sweep. Because they're going into Minnesota now.
Yeah. So like I said, they have to make adjustments defensively first, right? And if they do that, then they have a chance. They gotta find a way to win, like 88-86. That's how they gotta win these games. If they can win like that, then they have a chance. If not, I don't see a world, right? Murray's hobbled. He's not doing what his thing doing. He's not doing his thing.
And he's getting frustrated.
MPJ has length on him now, and obviously better defenders compared to round 1. Aaron Gordon's not that type of scorer, right? And then Jokic is looking human, right? Even if Jokic pops off, Murray's not doing his thing. One, because he's horrible. Two, because he's getting absolutely smothered. And then MPJ is not hitting his shots because, he's getting smothered as well. That's the best way to describe it. Whoever touches the ball is just getting smothered, right? Whatever it be double team or a 1v1 situation, it's just smothering defense by the Timberwolves. And the adjustments have to come on the defensive side for the Nuggets, because you're going to have to win dirty, you're going to have to win ugly, and you can't have that 120, 122 type game. You're going to have that 80, 84 type game.
So what's your final prediction now after watching these first two games?
I initially said Nuggets in 6.
Yeah.
I could see a world where I could see Timberwolves in 6, but right now, for what I've just seen so far,
yeah, based on what you've seen strictly on.
Based on what I've seen so far, it's Timberwolves in 5 max at the moment. But if I were to remake my prediction, I would probably go Timberwolves in 6.
So you're going right now Timberwolves in 5 though.
Yeah, for based on what I've seen, yeah, Timberwolves in 5.
Do I still stick with Nuggets in 6? Because the game 3 is gonna be a determining factor for sure, right?
Well, obviously.
But okay, strictly, but between these two games, I'll go Timberwolves in 6. I'll say that. I feel like they'll split, and then the Nuggets will get one home game win. Like game 5, they'll return to game 5, and they'll win that, and then they'll lose in the 6th one. Because this team is insane. And we're going to talk about the Eastern Conference side, because right now, the way it's looking, the Celtics should run away with it, even though they didn't look good today against the Cavs. But before we move on to the next series, because it involves some of these guys as well, let's talk about the awards right here, because the winners are literally on each team.
All right, DPOY.
No surprise.
Everyone's favorite, Rudy Gobert. No surprise, winning his 4th Defensive Player of the Year. No debate about that. He's on the best defensive team, and was the best defensive player on his interior defense especially, and well deserved to Rudy Gobert.
So you think any issues? Because I have issues.
For
maybe
DPOY?
not him winning, but I just have issues with the voting.
Oh, what was the voting? I didn't look at the numbers.
I'm pulling it up right now, but Anthony Davis being 4th.
Obviously, we already talked about that.
Yeah, but I'm saying I'm looking at DeBontis and bonuses on there somehow on the ballot.
Who was it? 3?
I'm pulling it up right now, right here. Rudy Gobert got 72 first place votes, total 433. He was first.
Yeah.
Wembanyama came second.
Yeah.
You kind of shut me up with that one for the beginning of the year.
I told you.
I'm here to say I'll give you all props. This is where I have an issue. Bam Adebayo got 3 first place votes. You got 91 total points, right? 15 second place votes, 31 third place votes. Anthony Davis got more first place votes with 4. He got 10 second place votes and then 33 third place votes, and then his points finished off at 83. I don't know how the voting is here. I get why Rudy Gobert won. I'm not gonna disagree with that. I'm not being a homer here, because I think many people agree with me.
Yeah, well, I do agree with you. But
Herb Jones has 0 first place votes. Instead, Drew Holiday got it, which I get it. They were the best team. They gave it to the best defensive player, sure. But I think that was also more by Derek White in the backcourt as well helps. But Herb Jones, I thought the finalists were gonna be Rudy Gobert, Anthony Davis, and one of Victor Wembanyama or Herbert Jones. Right, I thought
my 3 were Gobert, Wembanyama, and AD. Those were my 3.
Yeah, so obviously Giannis has only got a second place vote. So
let's not worry about that. Obviously we already talked about AD, so we're not gonna go too much into it. But AD definitely deserved to be in the top 3. That was no doubt about that. We saw what he did in the playoffs. We saw him slow down.
And then people are saying, it's because his team sucked. You have Bam Adebayo in there, who was also playing.
Yeah.
And you had Victor Wembanyama in there, whose team was shit.
Yeah, it's not to do with team. But yeah, AD got robbed in terms of not being in top 3. And shout out to Gobert, shout out to Wemby. Saw it coming. Man just freaking blocking everyone from everywhere. And
if you have a very early prediction for next year, is Chet Holmgren and Victor Wembanyama going to be the finalists somehow?
Yes.
You'll just second year instantly. They're
Wemby's winning DPOY next year.
I'm shocked Chet didn't get votes.
Wemby's winning DPOY next year.
Are you surprised Chet didn't get votes?
A little bit.
Shea got it because he also scores the steals and all that. But
a little bit.
I thought Chet would have gone at least 1 third place vote or something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, Wemby's DPOY next year. I'm locking that in.
Right now?
Locking that
I don't
in
know
right
if,
now.
we don't bet, but if betting odds were out right now,
Yeah,
I
but
think he would be the favorite. So I don't think he would make much off of it.
I don't care. But MVP
Here's the big talk.
for me, it was between Luka and Shea. That's what I determined it down to. It was between Luka and Shea.
And the winner is?
And the winner is Nikola Jokic. Winning his third MVP in the last 4 seasons. Incredible feat. I think only 9 players have done that in NBA history. And he is amongst the greats. But I thought it was Luka or Shea.
So you have an issue with him winning? Or
No, not. Like I said, I didn't have an issue with any of the 3 winning. But
you throwing Brunson in there low key on any of the 4 winning.
yeah, but the thing was like my picture I had in my head, it was a close race in my head. I couldn't pick one, but the clear picture in my head was Jokic finishing third. I'll say that much.
So like when I'm looking at the voting results here, like the total votes, I genuinely thought it was gonna be way closer than it was. Now I don't know how the points. I guess 10 points for first place, 7 points for third. Sorry, second. Third place is 5, fourth is 3, and then fifth is 1. So these are the total points. 926 first, Jokic. 640, 566. I thought it was genuinely going to be like 700, 600, 500, or like 800, like something like that, right? Like very, very close. Like how you see it. So the fact, I don't have any issues with Jokic winning. I said that before. With essentially the 5 guys, the top 5 here, I would have had no issue throwing Giannis in there as well. Yeah, and I see obviously Stephen A coming out, Shaq coming out. Shaq literally, I disagree with Shaq doing this, but literally going to Jokic's face during the TNT presentation of doing the interview, saying like, I thought Shea would have won. Credit to Shaq, I guess he wasn't being fake, right? He just said it to his face.
He said it
But-
after too.
But the reason why, if I had the vote, my vote went Shea because of like apparently this is the stat. He's the first. He's been a first player since I don't know how long to have 30 plus points per game in the Western Conference and be a first place team and not win MVP. He's the first guy since like in the, I don't know, somewhere in the 19 something.
Yeah.
So for me, to finish off my point, I thought he should have gotten it because not just because of that. The team's jump, obviously Daignault deserves a lot of credit, right? The defense is also because of him. But like offensive firepower, then the way he gets to the line, yes, some people might say foul baiting, but you literally have Embiid, Harden in the past, all these guys, Luka even have the foul calls. So don't get me started with that. But yeah, so I thought because of the jump he made with the youngest team, the NBA, who could potentially win a championship this year, and they look good, right? Will I say they'll win it this year? No, because the Timberwolves are literally doing something, and we have the Celtics. Yeah, so that's the reason why I had Shea winning it. But again, I have no issues with Jokic winning it because I know Murray was injured for a little bit as well, and he kept him at second place. And yeah.
Yeah, my personal vote was for Shea for everything you said. But my case for Luka was that he was legit. The jump they took ever since the trade deadline, obviously the trade deadline acquisitions do help a lot. But Luka was a monster ever since that point, getting his team out of the play-in and to a clear, bona fide 5th spot. Could have been the 4th seed if it was just they had one more game to play. Yes, Kyrie is there to help. Yes, trade deadline acquisitions are a help. But Luka was absolutely dominant. That was my case for Luka. He has been the main reason why the Dallas Mavericks are here, obviously along with Kyrie. And then obviously for Shea, like you said, they're the 1 seed. He's averaged 30, like Luka essentially, and was the 1 seed, taking that jump. But Luka and the Mavericks also took that jump. They missed the playoffs last year, the play-in too, right, completely. And they took that jump all the way up to a 5th seed as well, which is fair as well. That's why for me it was Shea or Luka. I would have personally voted Shea. Yes, it's a little bit biased because being Canadian, maybe. But overall, Shea has a clear-cut resume. He built up a clear-cut resume this year of why he should or could have been the MVP.
So
And no disrespect to Jokic, but personally, I thought he was third. I'll just say that.
Jokic, 79 first place votes, if you're wondering, 15 for Shea, and he was second. So there was clearly a big discrepancy.
Yeah, that's true.
And then 4 for Luka, and then 1 for Giannis. That rounds up the first place votes. The other players who got votes in this were Jalen Brunson, Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, DeMontis Sabonis, and Kevin Durant. This is 1 first place to 5th place votes. Yeah, no, like at the end of the day, it's gonna be tough. Like next year, you're gonna have Victor Wembanyama coming in, right? People that say that Shea could get it next year, I get it. I'm not saying like, listen, LeBron should have had way more than 4. We all could agree with that. Kobe probably should have had more than 1. KD could have had more than 1, right? next year you're gonna have these guys on this list already. Luka hasn't won one. Keep that in mind, right? Joel Embiid's gonna be back in the picture. You're gonna have Steph Curry maybe back in the picture.
A lot of it does.
And then add Victor Wembanyama.
A lot of it, but a lot of it does depend on the 65 games.
True. I'm just saying
that's
the
a big
names
factor.
that you'll expect in the picture as well.
Yeah,
Like,
obviously,
Victor Wembanyama could
it's
be
tough
MVP.
to win MVP, right? There's only one person gets it out of
Yeah.
how many superstars and all-stars are in the league.
Yeah.
But next year's prediction, Anthony Edwards for me.
Very early prediction for me. I'll say Luke doesn't end up getting it next year.
No, Luka.
Everybody says that every year.
Everybody says Luka every year. I was one of those guys too. I'll probably still be one of those guys. But what Ant is doing right now is absolutely incredible. But before we move on to the OKC Thunder and the Dallas Mavericks series, please subscribe. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed the videos. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Also check out our Instagram, Twitter, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
Maybe if you want a Snapchat or Discord, let us know.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. And comment your opinions down below. We love hearing from you guys. We've been getting a lot of comments about, the NHL series on the polls. So keep those up. We were always looking. We're always going to respond to them. And thank you for those comments.
You want to see me get Jovan yell at me and a little bit more frustrated when I keep cutting him off? Yeah, hit that subscribe button.
Yeah.
That was obviously my bad, but it's a night time right now. I'm tired. That's all I want.
We're going to throw hands next time.
Yeah, next time.
If you want to see
he cuts me off or I cut him
a brother fight, right? Might need to go into Bisla martial arts. And
speaking of Bisla, shout him out. He's fighting for the Canadian heavyweight belt in
Yeah.
Victoria, so you guys could check that out.
we're on the undercard. Us two right here.
Promotions as well.
But yeah, Beneath Bisla, light heavyweight champion. Wait, he is the light heavyweight champion, right?
No, he's
He's fighting for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe. But yeah, no, well,
There are a lot of belts in boxing.
yeah, no,
A
yeah.
lot of belts.
And different, very, very different. This is a Canadian promotion,
Yeah,
so
that's
it's like
true.
it's very, very different, right? So
Yeah, I don't know why you fighting in Victoria. Why can't he fight here?
yeah,
That's
I would've went
awesome.
100%.
Yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, shout out to Beneath Bisla. But let's move on to the OKC Thunder and the Dallas Mavericks.
the second and third place runner-up MVP teams.
Exactly. And games 1 and 2 has been kind of dominant performances from the winning team. Obviously, there were stretches where the game was close. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
But overall, the games ended up in dominating fashion. Game 1 going to the OKC
Yeah,
Thunder,
they took over in the second half mainly.
and Game 2 going to
Game two was
Dallas Mavericks.
OKC could have went and grabbed it. It was like a 10-point game.
They made it 10. Then
But
it just
credit
stayed
to
at 10,
Dallas.
though.
Credit to Dallas. Clutch shots were made, especially by Tim Hardaway Jr. Hit that one clutch one.
He showed up.
And Luka on a hobbled ankle himself stepped up as well. Yeah, it's a good. This is the series that, like I said, I think is the best out of the four. Yeah, I think this is the best series so far.
No, it's not. It's the
This
next
is the
Pacers.
second best series
It's
so
the next
far.
Pacers.
Yeah, but yeah, true. But next Pacers, we have thoughts on that. I have thoughts on that. Rick Carlisle definitely had thoughts on that. But no, this is up there for me still. Yeah, it's a Luka Shea matchup. Shea's still doing what he's doing. He's killing it. So yeah, no, overall the matchup, yeah, after the two games, I expected it to be 1-1. It was 1-1. I think we had it going 7 or 6 or 7, I think, to Dallas's way. But Dallas, Luka struggled in game 1, right?
Yeah.
Compared to today,
Yeah.
right? So this game is, it's just, for me, it's that. I'm just talking words right now. The way Dallas played in this game is what I expected them to play in game 1 and the rest of the series, because the experience, they've been there hitting the big time shots. You got Kyrie Irving there to alleviate.
He didn't even do much today.
Yeah, and which is funny because the games,
On the offensive side.
yeah,
Kyrie on hustle plays and defensively has stepped up in this postseason. But this was how the Dallas Mavericks were against the Clippers, right? How they won game 2, how they won game 3 against the Clippers. This is how they're supposed to play. But overall, I just think that, OKC is going to have to really, focus on their defense, right? Focus on, holding them under 100 points. I know it's a tough challenge, but I feel like if it's a low-scoring game, OKC will win. If it's a high-scoring game, Dallas will win.
here's the thing. PJ Washington can now get 29 points for you. Right?
But
Luka got 29, and then off the bench, Tim Hardaway got 17.
But there's one thing, right? Those 29 probably will come from Kyrie next game.
yeah, no, which is more fair.
Yeah.
Which is more fair. Kyrie got 11 assists, right? He shot 8 times only. He was 2 for 8. You fed the hot hand if that's the case, right? On the OKC side of things today, Shea did his thing, 33, 12, and 8, right? Efficient, but J-Dub is playing the most consistent, one of the more underrated consistent players in the league that people don't talk about as much, outside of maybe OKC.
Did you see that fourth quarter? Struggled all game in game one, up until that fourth quarter when he just went on his own run.
Yeah.
Hit like 2 or 3 threes in a row, hit another layup, and just, I think he had 10 points, ended up with like 20 plus, I think.
Yeah, so like even these guys are the only ones that had like 33, 20, and then Chet had 11. Everybody else was 8 or 9 or below. Like game one, that was the opposite. Like Aaron Wiggins was hitting shots.
Everyone, yeah.
Like everybody was hitting shots. So, yeah, since unfortunately you guys had the split at home, now can you get the win in Dallas is the question here. We'll see. Like I said, this game could go 7, and no one's going to be surprised if OKC wins this game, right? Because like...
Or series.
Series, sorry. And if their defense is... Again, it should be kind of like how the Timberwolves is, kind of overmatching what Dallas is doing, in a sense. Like, Luka's amazing. I'm not saying that. But at the same time, Jokic should have been way better than what he's doing, but the defense is slowing him down, right? So the question is, can they continue going on to that identity with defense, and then Shea is in that Anthony Edwards role where he's going to just carry the offense like he did today? It's unfortunate that Luka was hitting shots. And listen, Luka is so good that he's going to be hitting tough shots all day, every day, right? He's not going to be inefficient always either, and he will hit the tough shots. Let's see what that ankle is going to look like. If that ankle is going to screw him up for the rest of the series, slow him down a lot more, right? Not that he's an athletic player, but even the commentary team was saying it, like he's not as explosive, even though he's not an Anthony Edwards explosive, but he still,
but like,
you need a first step to get going.
Your
right?
move package, right?
Yeah.
Like your package is not going to be as...
Like his bag is slowed down now.
Right, your bag is definitely emptier than what he has. And Luka has a full
and you
bag.
have big body like Kaysen Wallace, Lou Dort, even Shea could go on him, and then they're not going to be easy to go through. J-Dub as well.
Like the Thunder defensively should be as smothering as the Timberwolves are.
Yeah.
Right? But especially when you have the shutdown guy in Lou Dort and Kaysen Wallace off the bench. When you have a guy who gets steals like Shea. And then J-Dub does his thing, and you have rim protection with Chet. Right? They should be as smothering as Timberwolves. So that was a little bit disappointing for me in game 2. But game 1 it was there, but game 2 it wasn't. So that's what I'm saying. If it's a low scoring game, the Thunder should easily win games. But if it's high scoring, I think the Mavericks will edge it out because of Luka and Kyrie's experience and their ability to hit more clutch shots in clutch situations. Right? I trust that more than I do in Shea because this is his first real time he's actually here.
Yeah. Before I continue on a second, okay, never mind. I fixed it on his own. The TV was like frozen.
Happy Dallas didn't blow a 4-goal lead.
Yeah, but no. Sticking back to the final things of the series, nothing much changes for me. As it's the rest of the series that we're gonna talk about, nothing is gonna change as much as how the Timberwolves Nuggets predictions did. So yeah, we'll see how Game 3 goes. I feel like this is it's gonna be entertaining in spurts. I hope it's entertaining till the end, so we could see like one of those last minute, the Knicks, how the Knicks have been playing all the series long with the Sixers and the Pacers in general. They go to the wire. So we'll see how that goes.
Just anything the Knicks are involved in, those are the games you gotta watch.
Yeah. So this has potential to do that, and I hope there's like a wire to wire game, right? And it doesn't get away in the second.
Yeah,
half.
we haven't really got that from the OKC side. Obviously, they played the Pelicans.
Outside of game 1, OKC game 1.
Yeah, that was wire to wire.
That was wire to wire.
And then obviously Dallas, I think had game 3, which was pretty close against the Clippers. But yeah, it should be like that. It's kind of looking like the Dallas Clippers series for me, where Clippers do their first punch, Dallas has a counter punch, and now it's the OKC Thunder's term, aka there's the Clippers in this situation where they gotta punch back. But let's see if they should be better weight chemistry wise, because the Clippers just looked like they were good one game, and then the next game they just never played with each other before.
The difference is this team is still young. They're not playing with house money because they're still the best team in the West, right? Second best in the league, or third, whatever they finished, third or second or third in the league. So like I think they're not playing with house money. But again, this is still a dub of a season for them. No one expected to be this good, and them sweeping a series that even though without Zion, no one thought that was gonna happen, and took a game in game 1. So this is only gonna help them in the future.
But yeah, they could get.
But they're still very capable of reaching the final.
They should.
Say that, like that.
They can.
This reminds me of that young Thunder team that lost to the Heat. Unfortunately, the Thunder team didn't go back. But
yeah, that's
it's
true.
still its potential is there. So like,
they very much can.
You're not guaranteed to come back in the finals, right? So
that is true.
So pounce on it.
That's been the NFL thing where like if you lose in a Super Bowl, the quarterback hasn't been back in the final for I don't know how long now.
Unless you're Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady.
Well, that's except for those two.
Yeah.
But let's go on to,
You want to close off strong, or do you want?
we'll close off strong. Let's go off with the one that again, we thought is gonna be utter dominance, and game 1 was utter dominance for the Boston Celtics, but game 2 they have been dominated.
It's kind of like the Heat way right now.
So this is their wake up call, right? I'm not changing anything. I'm not changing my mind, right? I think I initially said sweep for 5 games. I don't know what I said.
Sweep, but we didn't know because we couldn't do a proper prediction.
I know,
Game 7.
because
By
game
the way,
7 on.
very quickly, Game 7. We're not gonna recap, but I'm just saying. Okay, we gotta talk about the Magic a little bit. That's why. Orlando Magic, keep doing what you're doing. Paolo Banchero is on that Anthony Edwards, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander emergence, because your defense is also up there with the Timberwolves and the Thunder as well. So like maybe add 1 or 2 pieces that could help you, whether it be ball handling,
I think
pressure, or another like
offensive,
like
another
a shooter.
a scorer. Yeah.
Yeah. You add that with Paolo. You guys will be back next year. You guys should have won that game. You guys choked it in the second half. Donovan Mitchell's brilliance showed, and the reason why we picked Cavs to win in this. And I picked it in 6, but obviously it's there. So you guys will be back. At least playoff wise, you guys will be back.
Oh no, they should be back.
They should be back. Jamal Mosley, hell of a coach of the year finalist for a reason. So yeah, nothing. We're not gonna waste too much time on it.
They're set. They don't need any all-season outlook that the Clippers and the Sixers need.
Yeah,
right. They're set. They're a young squad, and it's their first time, making it after a long time. But yeah, shout out to the Orlando Magic. But let's get back into the Celtics and Cavs series. And right now, it's going on the Celtics and Heat trajectory where the Celtics got a wake-up call in Game 2, and they just didn't look back, dominating Games 3, 4, and 5. I don't think, it'll be dominating in that dominating fashion, but they should be, in control in Games 3, 4, and 5, in my opinion still.
So Porzingis is missing. Because of that, people are like, okay, I'm not saying that he's a big factor. He's not going to be a big factor type of thing, but at the same time, they're missing Jared Allen, right? So it's like, kind of counteracts a little bit, but then again, he's your third best player. Now Jrue Holiday's playing the third best player role, which he's done in the past. It's not a big deal. He was that in Milwaukee, right? Sometimes he was the second best player. So it's not that. Again, I did not watch this game much because two reasons. The Hurricanes game was amazing.
Exactly.
And for you, at least, especially. And for me, it was the Eastern Conference game. So I'm on the travel back home. But going back to from what I see here, Donovan Mitchell is playing like Donovan Mitchell, right? From the Magic, from that Game 6 Magic onwards. And we finally got the Evan Mobley offensive game, right?
Yeah,
because
that was big.
He's kind of on that Bam trajectory. Now the difference is this guy was a 3rd overall pick, a guy that your Raptors were probably thinking of getting ahead of, try to trade up or whatever if you guys won the lottery to get him over Scotty Barnes at the time. But right now, at least with Scotty, he's playing offensively. He is more on the Bam side of things where he's going to be defensively dominant. We know that. He's another name that will be in DPOY finalist conversations. We mentioned Wemby and Chet earlier. He will always be in that conversation as well because of how good he is defensively. But we've seen Bam, especially in that skills competition when he won it, show the offensive firepower, hitting the potential he has, hitting 3-pointers as well. Evan Mobley's the same way with me. I'm not saying they're the exact same player, but I'm saying like the idea of him being a 3rd overall pick needs to be better offensively, and he should arguably be the 2nd best player on this team, right?
Yeah.
Between him and Garland. But so in this game, he helped out. He got 21 points. He got 5 assists. We know his defense is going to be insane because we saw that firsthand in the Magic series. He's gotten blocks and plays that well. And that obviously helps with Karis LeVert off the bench with 21 points.
Well, LeVert's been pretty good.
And then Donovan Mitchell had 29.7 rebounds, 8 assists. And then on top of that, you have a defense that can give these guys trouble.
Yes,
the Celtics
like
trouble.
the Cavs could give Celtics trouble. But when the Celtics are on the game, nobody's touching them.
No one's touching
Nobody's touching them.
Fair, for sure.
And I'll tell you this much right now. I don't think Jason Tatum has been on his game in this postseason at all. Right? Yes, he got 25 today, but I've just seen so much inconsistency for Jason Tatum in this playoff run.
Fair.
And he's going to have to step it up.
Feels like he's coasting. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. I'm
but
just saying it feels like that way.
When it matters most, that's not the right thing to do. Yeah, exactly. Tatum needs to step it up because Mitchell can be that Jimmy Butler and steal this series, like how the Miami Heat took it from you guys last year, right? They're built similar in the sense of, they have the defense, they have the big, they have the star, and they have some shooting around them.
And on the flip side,
And I think Karis LeVert has been brilliant off the bench, like a good spark for them
Yeah.
off the bench this postseason.
on the flip side, you also have the weapons to slow down Donovan Mitchell heavily because Darius Garland is not a scorer, and we've seen him struggle in terms of getting points, right? You have probably the best defensive backcourt duo we've seen in a while with Drew Holiday and Derek White. So, yes, Donovan Mitchell, like I said, otherworldly offensive player. We've seen that happen, but you also need to slow him down because you have the capabilities of slowing him down, and then you have, I guess I can't say you have the full. Actually, no, you have Al Horford back there, and then you still have Tatum and Brown, who are good defenders. So you literally have a starting lineup plus one if Porzingis comes back of 6 people that can defend in general.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And almost all around the court, right? So if he gets by Drew Holiday or Derek White, you have another layer with Tatum and Brown. You get by them somehow, you have the rim protection. Either way, right? So I'm not saying you're going to be able to stop Donovan Mitchell completely, but we've seen Donovan Mitchell struggle before. A little bit last year.
Yeah, we've seen that last year, especially. But this year, Donovan Mitchell has been that Utah Jazz Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, for sure.
And
all credit to him.
He's just a baller, right?
To be fair, he did that against the Orlando Magic, who have like one of the top defenses in the league.
Yeah,
well.
like
so I'm not
exactly.
disrespecting.
I mean, he was okay. He was fine in game 1 too. It wasn't like necessarily he was terrible in game 1. He was okay.
He was 33 points, but yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know his efficiency, so obviously he was probably really good then.
At some point, if you're the only offensive guy, shots don't matter at that point.
That is true.
Like, shot count won't
But
matter.
yeah, no, I'm just saying that there's been a little nonchalance from the Celtics team. There's been a little bit of a casualness that they need to stop. They need to stop right now.
Because here's the thing.
Because Cavs can steal the series.
Not that. Even if they get by this, which I still think they will.
Yeah.
A team like, if you're going to still be nonchalant, that Knicks will beat you. As long as OG Anunoby's healthy. And Mitchell Robinson, maybe. But, like, as long as they're... I know Brunson's a little hobbled there as well. But, like, sometimes if you have the mindset of, yeah, this is an easy championship for us, the only team that really could say that was the Golden State Warriors, and they still almost lost against those Rockets teams as well.
Yeah, they made it close.
Right? So, at the end of the day, yeah, you can't be acting like this because in the next round, a Knicks team or a high offensive-powered Pacer team, if they do make a comeback there, can steal this. But to be fair to you, yeah, the Cavs can do as well. So
they're built like that Heat team.
They
That
already
gave them
split
trouble. Yeah.
But yeah.
And Cavs have been undefeated at home so far.
Is this a wake-up call for you? Or like the Heat game?
It's not as bad as
different.
Okay, here's the thing. It's like the Heat game was a pure wake-up call. This is obviously a little bit more 50-50. Reason 1, because of Evan Mobley, right, on the defensive side. Reason 2,
no Jimmy Butler there.
There's no Jimmy Butler, yeah, Miami
So you're not
Heat.
going to be as scared.
And then obviously your Jimmy Butler for the Cavs is Donovan Mitchell, right? Your scorer. And obviously we've seen people step up, right? We've seen Isaac Okoro hit his shots. We've seen obviously Mobley game 2. We've seen Garland got some points in round 1 where, I think in game 7 where he, turned it up in the fourth quarter, right? So it's people can step up around Donovan Mitchell here. Obviously Karis LeVert being one of the sparks off the bench. It is built like that Heat team that gave the Celtics trouble 3 times, all right? Obviously beating them. Did they beat them twice or
when? So they beat them in the bubble. Then the Heat team lost to the Bucks. Then they lost to them when the Celtics made the finals.
Yeah, so
and then they beat the Celtics last year.
Yeah, so the last 2 years essentially.
Yeah.
The last 2 Eastern Conference
They
Finals.
split it.
Right?
But yeah.
It is very similar. And it's a wake up call. I'm leaning more towards that. But the Cavs are undefeated at home. It could easily, if it's on that trend, this series could be 3-1 for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
That
right
being
now.
said, though, like this could remind me of. I'm not saying they're the exact same team because I have belief that this Celtic team. I don't want as a personal bias as much as I don't want that, but they're not the 76ers, and we saw the Hawks beat the 76ers when everybody thought, oh yeah, Sixers easily should have won this series and go on to the Eastern Conference Final. And even then, the Hawks gave the Bucks trouble there too. Like they got 2 games out of them. So yeah, like to your point, like yeah, we brushed past this series. Like to be fair, it should be right. To be fair, the Celtics
it should be a brush pass.
It should be a sweep. Like this Celtics team, I'm not saying to the extent of that Warriors team. Even maybe more of the 73-9 Warriors team, sure. But yeah, no, but like I said, if you're gonna be nonchalant, you're to your point, 100%. I agree with it. This Cavs team can make noise, especially if Donovan Mitchell is playing like how he's been playing the last. Like,
And
5
if Jason
games.
Tatum is not gonna pick up his game in terms of consistency
Yeah.
and overall just consistency from.
But, so what do you think? Do you think that the Celtics are
like,
gonna just pick it up and end it in 5?
Yeah, like I still believe that wholeheartedly, but I'm just saying, you can't be giving games,
Yeah.
right? It just takes one game to swing the momentum of the series, and now the Cavs are feeling themselves because they're coming home with a split. They did their job,
Yeah.
right? And undefeated at home, like I said. If it follows that trend, you're down 3-1. It shouldn't be the case, right? You still should win in 5. But I'm just saying the Celtics always like making it tough for themselves.
Yeah.
They really do. And that's what I don't understand about this team. Because realistically, this team should be a back-to-back NBA champion.
They're kind of like that team. I'm not
They're
saying
built like that.
Yeah, they're like that team. I'm not saying they're the Leafs because they're the next level, but like that team that should be making like a final almost every year, and then
Yeah, exactly.
only made one,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah,
Should have made the finals last year.
But yeah,
should make
if
the
I'm-
finals this year.
but yeah. At the end of the day, I'm not too worried. We'll see what Game 3 holds. That will determine what it's gonna be like. So I'm still sticking with Celtics in 5.
Yeah, I'm still sticking with that. But don't be surprised if it becomes a series. Especially if they play like this.
Yeah. All right, let's end it off with this series where it's gotten feisty. You got the fan involvement. The history is there. Reggie Miller's calling games on TNT, and he's getting the FU chants from the crowd. The New York Knicks are up 2-0 against the Indiana Pacers, and there's storylines in this because
Many storylines.
let's just start off with this. Off the bat, the reffing. The Pacers are filing a complaint about 78 potential missed calls. And listening to Brian Windhorst, he's like, yeah, that's normal. That happens. He's like, 99% of the time, officials don't lose you the game. But he's like, might be the 1%, especially in game 1,
Game on,
where
yeah.
you could say that you lost the game. Credit to, I think, TJ McConnell, and I forget which the other player. He did say that, like, okay, I love that Rick Carlisle has our back, but you can't wholeheartedly say the reffing cost us the game, especially in game 2 where you guys choked a lead.
They totally
as well.
doesn't in both
Games for sure, but like this second game especially, they didn't look as good. Halliburton, on the other hand, we'll start with the Pacers. Horrible game 1, very bad. But second game he did step up, but then the rest kind of went down.
Yeah,
a bit.
like Siakam had a decent game 1, not great, so great game 2. Obviously, all the others as well. But Halliburton's success in game 2 was because he became the aggressor, right? And I know he's a facilitator. He wants to play make and all that stuff. But Halliburton has to be your leading scorer. It's just simple as that, right? He is the young star. He is, that Anthony. He has to be the Anthony Edwards of your team, where he's going to have to do a bit of everything. And his aggression in game 2 is what's going to help, this Pacers team, especially offensively, because he's going to play make and he's going to score.
His aggression will help play make. Right, you have shooters now. Unfortunately,
And you open up the game for yourself as well. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it doesn't help when Pascal went 7 for 18, Aaron Nesmith went 2 for 7, Miles Turner went 3 for 11. Miles Turner, who had an underrated playoffs so far, and then on top of the Andrew Nemhard is the only other guy with 7 for 9, right? And then off the bench, TJ McConnell. Everybody's saying TJ McConnell should be closing out games because how good he's been. Whether that be obviously not for Halliburton, but someone else on the court. So there's that. And like you said, Pascal Siakam needs to consistently be at least. If not Halliburton, one of those two needs to be both of them need to be 1 and 2 consistently by far the best if they want to be that to win a championship, right? Yeah, we know that this Pacer team isn't built to win a championship if those two at the moment are your best players. We know that at an elite level, Pascal Siakam as a 2 is an elite guy, but your number 1 has to be a superstar at that point, which Halliburton isn't, which is not a knock against him. It's his first playoff series run. Not everybody's going to take that Shea jump or that Anthony Edwards jump. We're hoping Halliburton learns from this and takes that jump in the future.
But there's news, and there is hope for Siakam to pop off in this series.
Exactly.
Is because his former teammate, who knows everything in his bag, essentially, in his Toronto Raptors days, has left game 2 with a hamstring
OG
injury.
Anunoby, if you're wondering.
OG Anunoby has left game 2 with a hamstring injury and is ruled out for game 3. Going back to Indiana, Pacers are not out of this series at all because, they lost road games.
Yeah.
But game 3 is obviously a must win. And obviously, if they do that, game 4 will be as important. And
Jalen Brunson's hobbled. He's questionable. I don't think he'll
Well, he's
not
not.
play.
He's not
but-
questionable.
But the report is saying questionable, so there's still doubt, right? Like at the end of the day, he is hobbled. You have to say
no.
that much.
Yeah, but he's gonna play.
Yeah.
Even if like people tell him no, he's
Yeah.
gonna play.
First, like it's crazy. But going back to the officiating, let's talk about that.
Yeah, obviously the biggest call is the game one and ending where the Pacers have a chance of winning the game, a chance of getting the final shot, and Miles Turner got called for an offensive foul for an illegal screen.
Very Aaliyah Edwards-esque
Yeah,
from the UConn and Iowa women's. college
yeah.
game.
Josh Hart sold it well. Don't get me wrong. Like if you call it by the book, by the letter of the law, was it a legal screen? Yeah, maybe because he moved like 2 inches. But in the spirit of the game, in the situation of the game that it actually was, in the clutch moment it was, you can't make that call. Like in that UConn Iowa game, you just can't make the call. You're ruining the opportunity for the players to make a play, and that's what happened in Madison Square Garden to Indiana, and it was unfortunate because that game was a good game. It was a really
weird
good game.
The call before was like a turnover and it went to Pacer ball, right?
Yeah, but that was clean turnover.
No, but my point is, like, I just felt like they're like, it did kind of feel scripted, like it happened instantly.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, like Paige Becker said it perfectly in that game. Not one call determines the factor of the whole game, but if it's a whole game of bad officiating, because and I agree with Pacers fans in this sense. I saw some clips on Twitter where Pacers, like I think Siakam was like he was their Knicks were aggressive on him on defense, no foul call, a small tap on the other side, and Jalen Brunson gets free throws.
I've seen Siakam get smacked and not get calls.
Yeah,
I'll say that much. I have seen the officiating be really, really bad.
But
then also to the point of like, not one call, determines the game. But when the whole game comes down to that one play, that one call kind of does determine the game as well in that sense. And it just let's just get into the play a little bit. Jalen Brunson again dropped a 40-point game in game one and obviously struggled with his ankle in game 2 in the first half, but came back with a monster fourth quarter, and he got up with 29 points. Dante DiVincenzo has been... I don't understand how this guy ends up with like 20-plus points every game.
Yeah.
But he just ends up with it quietly, and I think he had another good performance shooting-wise in game 2, and I think he had the same thing in game 1. Josh Hart...
Yeah, I was going to go there.
...has proven that you don't have to be a big man to rebound.
No,
and
you're forgetting the main thing. He's played another 48
and
minute
another
game.
40.
And now that OG, I don't know if he's gone. He's like, nothing changes. I'm still playing 48.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Was it 4 games in a row now? 4 games in a row? Like, I think it was like over 10 quarters.
Is it in a row? I thought it was just like 4 in total at the playoffs.
Let me pull up his thing to be exact.
It might be 4 in a row. But yeah, no, Josh Hart, absolute
48. So he played the last 2 games 48, and then the game before that 46. So literally the last 10 quarters he played full, essentially full.
Yeah.
So that's from the Philly game second half to now, and it's gonna continue.
It's gonna continue, especially when OG being out. But Josh Hart, I don't know how he has that in him, right? And it's not like the intensity drops, right? He's still hustling for rebounds, especially on the offensive glass. He's still playing defense on the other team's best player most of the time, and then obviously running up the court, hitting his shots too sometimes when he gets the open look for 3 or drives in for the layup, because he has just been that good and that much fun to watch, because he's just putting his all out every single minute, all 48 minutes, because he actually plays all 48 minutes, and with that intensity from minute 1 to 48, it just doesn't change.
Yeah.
It just remains high. So incredible feat from Josh Hart. It is a Tom Thibodeau system, so we're not surprised, but
with OG out now,
it hurts because Brunson's hobbled, OG's hurt, and there comes a time where these minutes are going to catch up to the players, and it has caught up to OG Anunoby and a little bit of Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, because now you need a guy like Miles McBride to carry that offense for the second unit now to at least alleviate a little bit of pressure. Pressure Chua on the defensive end is going to be a big impact. Another former Raptor who could probably be on Siakam if need be. Right, size is there. He can do that. He played 28 minutes in that game, right? Like, obviously, once OG left, essentially, it was head. I'm looking off the bench. Right, Bogdanovich is injured right now. Left foot surgery, apparently. So
he's been out.
there's no real offense coming off if Brunson goes down. Now maybe this is a game they're like, you know what, Brunson, you guys are up 2-0. I'm not saying you do this, but I'm saying the Knicks could be thinking we're up 2-0. It's fine. You could set out this one game. We'll play hard, and then you come back for game 4. Maybe that's the plan. I don't know. I'm not saying that's what they're expecting to do. But again, like if he's hobbled and he's gonna play like 40. In this game, he played 32 only because of the injury. But like normally, he'll probably play 40 minutes minimum. It will impact him potentially into the next round because we think the Knicks should still win the series if Brunson is playing. But we'll see how it goes. But like you said, the Pacers, you have no OG Anunoby there. Pascal Siakam, you got no excuse now.
Yeah, you gotta take over a little bit, like how you took over in a Milwaukee series for a few games, first 2 games especially. But overall, it's been a great matchup. Obviously, we're saying the Knicks defense might destroy the Pacers offense, but that has not been the case. The Pacers are still playing with the same pace, and they're still playing with that number 1 offense-like team, and it's going to be an exciting series. I am sticking with my original prediction of Knicks in 6. I believe I said Knicks in 6, so I'm not really going to change anything, but overall, it's we're really messing with this light. But overall, it's been a great series. Anything that's involved in the Knicks has just been the games to watch so far in these NBA playoffs.
Okay, let's move on before we go to the Champions League because there's some controversy there as well.
There's some drama.
We have more off-season news, so we'll get the quick one out of the way. Charles Lee, lead assistant for the Boston Celtics, right? Perfect spot for him. He's taken the Charlotte Hornets job. Right, you have another top pick coming in. You got hopefully a healthy LaMelo Ball. You got Brandon Miller there. You got Mark Williams as your center there. So a guy like that, like he could have been one of those rare guys that could have worked on a Lakers or a Suns or whatever team as well because like Joe Mazzulla's doing a good job. But again, a different atmosphere. It's probably best for him to go to a rebuilding spot.
Develop a team
and carry it up. We saw again, if healthy, that team could make a jump like the OKC Thunder did, like the Indiana Pacers
Orlando
did,
Magic,
Orlando Magic especially, right? But moving on though, this is the big news, and it actually happened. And I have issues with it. I know you had issues with it. Now that it's official, we need to talk about it. The Phoenix Suns fired Frank Vogel after just 1 year, and they're eyeing Mike Budenholzer, which we'll talk about in a second. But let's talk about the firing first and how much of a scapegoat Frank Vogel is again in back-to-back situations.
In my opinion, is he a scapegoat? Yes. In my opinion, should he have been hired for this job? I personally did not believe he was the right man for the job. In the terms of, he is a defensive-minded coach that has no defenders, right? And there's one reason why I did believe that Frank Vogel should have been fired is putting Bradley Beal on freaking Anthony Edwards. That alone should have gotten him fired. But overall, is it Vogel's fault that this big 3 failed? No, it's the big three's fault.
He was probably did that maybe even after to figure out what the hell to do, right?
It's the big three's fault, right? Essentially.
No, I mean,
and then obviously the roster construction as well.
James Jones, like, are you surprised he still has a job? Because like he was there before Ishbia came in.
That's true, yeah. And James Jones obviously, but I'm just saying the big 3 did not perform, right? What's supposed to be your superpower was your offense. That was not shown at all in this series and in this playoffs.
The reason why he's a huge scapegoat is because, like you mentioned, sure, like I was fine with his hire. I'm like, okay, he might not get. He could, Booker's a capable defender. Durant's a capable defender. He might get the best out of getting that defensive scheme. They traded for Nurkic. He didn't do bad, especially with rebounding. The problem is you did not get him. Like at least with the year 1 Lakers, you didn't do that, right? Like you didn't go out and get the size and the wing defenders. Whether it didn't have to be 3-and-D specifically, but maybe some 3-point shooters, but maybe some pure defensive specialists, right? Like the Lakers brought in Avery Bradley, got Danny Green. They added, obviously, outside of the Anthony Davis trade, they added Dwight Howard, right? They add KCP already there. They already had Alex Caruso there. So you could have done that same thing here. And then point number 2 is, unlike the Lakers, we know LeBron was going to be the point guard because he is a point guard in a forward's body. You don't have that. Like, as good as Devin Booker is an underrated playmaker,
he's not that, though.
He's not that's not his primary position. So when he asked for, and I get it, you don't want to, like, we saw what happened with soccer in general, like people saying Ten Hag got too much power and look what he did with the money, blah, blah, blah. But it was very obvious you needed a point guard. And you did not need to go get, first of all, you didn't even need to do the Bradley Beal trade. If you were going to go get a point guard, you could have still stuck around, kept Chris Paul. But you could have gotten Tyus Jones, maybe traded for a TJ McConnell if you really needed to at the beginning of the year, not during the year, right? Guys like that to help at least alleviate pressure and just control the pace of the game. Tyus Jones was assist to turnover ratio was the lowest in the league. So you have a guy who's smart with the ball, take over, and if the front office was so scared he's gonna take touches away, he was gonna put you in positions to get the ball
in better positions
and not give the ball away,
essentially.
right? So that's where that's not on Frank Vogel. I hope Frank Vogel lands a job quick somewhere, whatever is an opening. Maybe he reunites with the Lakers. I'll be fine with that as long as they do what they did year one, right? But outside of the Lakers opportunity, I don't know what positions are open at the moment that are especially all-star-y teams. Not saying full-on contenders, but like one of those some of those teams like that. So yeah, I think it's bogus, right? This is a different situation from Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham had 2 years, and you could tell that a lot of big differences. Like I said, with the Lakers, he was scapegoated there because it was on him. He did not make Russell Westbrook work. Essentially, the same thing happened here. He did not make that work. He lost Kevin Young to BYU anyways. So I thought James Jones should have been fired as well. You just started fresh. This team is not going to be broken up. There's I understand.
Well, it's not now, yeah.
No, I'm just saying, yeah, that too. But Devin Booker, it wasn't going to get traded as much as people wanted to say he's going to go to Stephen A. Smith specifically.
He's not.
Nick, or if Kevin Durant wants out, we'll see what happens.
He's the only one I can see.
Right? So chances are you're going to have to run it back. Can you figure out this roster construction? You're now, let's talk about this. You're bringing in Mike Budenholzer, who's also another defensive-minded coach, right? And who's also notorious for not making adjustments, right? Point number one, this championship trophy, cup right here sitting there, your Raptors championship, didn't make adjustments when Kawhi went on Giannis Antetokounmpo. He was so close of getting fired. If it wasn't for the championship, he would have been fired that year, right?
Yeah.
If KD was not on the 3-point line, he literally could have been fired that year. Instead, he got a championship. Fair play to him. A lot of that was also Giannis and Chris Middleton emerging, especially Chris Middleton emerging. And the Drew Holiday trade helped. So that's a definition of helping your coach and your team. But again, the year after against the Heat, couldn't make adjustments when Giannis was injured as well, right? And at the end of the day, so he got fired from there. What makes you think that this could be the right position outside of him being a championship coach, which, by the way, Frank Vogel was himself anyways?
Yeah, no, it's just lateral move. I don't see anything special with this potential hire. And
you know what the funny thing with this is?
Yeah.
He might bring Darvin Ham along with him.
Oh yeah, that would be crazy.
So,
but yeah, no, like it's just a lateral move. It's just nothing's gonna happen with the Suns. We're gonna see the same old thing. It's gonna have to be pure roster construction. You're gonna have to add in size, and you're gonna have to add in a traditional point guard essentially to make this roster better and get the pressure off of Devin Booker's of playmaking and trying to score the ball at the same time. And Bradley Beal as well, obviously. But yeah, just overall, in my personal opinion, it's just a lateral move. Is a scapegoat? Yes, I just didn't like the fit from the beginning in this terms of, you don't have defenders for a defensive-minded coach. I don't know how the system is gonna work. But overall, you could see the idea is that you need a defense. You bring a defensive-minded head coach. You could also see that reasoning too. But personally, I just did not like the fit of Vogel, and obviously now I'm not gonna like the fit of Budenholzer as well. And it's just a lateral move and 6 seed at best, maybe a sweep in the first round again.
It would depend on who Budenholzer brings in on the offensive side, right? Because at the end of the day, Frank Vogel wasn't a defensive coach. He had Jason Kidd on the bench with him.
That's big, yeah.
That's Phil Handy on the bench with him there, right? And then I think it was David Fizdale with him here. He isn't that great of a coach. Ever since he got fired from Memphis, he didn't really do well in New York. The games he took over for the Lakers or whatever, I think he was interim for a little bit, or whenever Vogel got kicked out, or whatever the case may be. So I don't know. Maybe Budenholzer and probably Darvin Ham come in and do something. Because I'm gonna just assume he's getting that spot, because I don't think Darvin Ham gets a job now. So yeah, at the end of the day, it just sucks that coaches just get fired because of incompetent front offices, right? This was clearly not his. He's gonna accept the job, right? It's not on him.
But it's not on him, yeah.
But yeah, and now that being said, 2 head coaches are off the board. Let's see what the Lakers do. Charles Lee would have been a good fit, in my opinion, as one of the assistants that could be available. So we'll see what happens there. We don't know what's happening with T. Lue at the moment. Is it an extension? Does he want to even extend? He did say publicly, but we know sometimes public words don't mean shit. And we know the Clipper team ain't gonna be broken up as much as people want to say to break them up, because they're moving into literally a new arena.
And they can't get anything for the players.
Yeah.
Because they're free agents.
Yeah. So, Paul George mainly and James Harden.
So
but Kawhi is still there.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Kawhi's values.
Overall, that's our thoughts on this. We'll just see if it ends up being true. It's just a lateral move, in my opinion, and it'll just depend on see who they bring in as the offensive guy.
Yeah, but let's move on to some soccer talk and some UCL bangers, right? Obviously, UCL it always cooks. It just always cooks every single year, and it cooked once again because we have an underdog story going up in Borussia Dortmund, going up against every year's favorite. The 14 times. 14 times?
Yes.
The 14-time UCL winners in Real Madrid in the Champions League finals. That's going to happen, I don't know when, end of May, right? End of this month? I believe.
June 1st.
All right, June 1st. But how do we get there? We got there because Borussia Dortmund and their defense have held out the attack of PSG and Kylian Mbappe and their former player, Ousmane Dembele, who was all smiles against Barcelona.
Also his former team, but not this time, where he missed a big chance in leg 1, and obviously PSG missed multiple chances in leg 2. But overall, this Dortmund defense had done its job, essentially. Yeah, like Mats Hummels masterclass second leg, right? The other story you also can't ignore is that PSG hit like 6 or 7 posts. Like, they had dominant pressure.
They had chances.
So, yeah, like, they played well defensively. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking away any credit. Also helps that it was also their day. And
yeah, you need luck as an underdog.
You need luck as well. Like,
as an underdog, you need luck.
I'm not taking away anything from what they have done, right? But the final score was 2-0 on aggregate, 1-0, 1-0, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, at the end of the day, they countered. Jadon Sancho played well. A former United player, and Marcel Sabitzer and this is the reason why, if it wasn't for injuries, we probably would have still been a United player. But, like, he had
we really ruined players, man. That's crazy.
He was just injured, though. That was a loan thing.
But Sancho.
Sancho was ruined before Ten Hag came in.
Sancho was with the U18s this year, and now he's going to play in the Champions League final.
Sancho is also more of a Bundesliga player than a Premier League player, also.
That's also fair, yeah.
There's like 3 coaches.
That is true.
But that's a different argument. We'll talk about Man United on the offseason.
Sancho cooked in leg 1, though.
Yeah, he did. He did. Like, clearly, you could tell that type of atmosphere works from. That's where he literally came from and made the big money.
But the main story of this semi-final leg was PSG and their inability to finish chances. And they created a lot of chances. If they're hitting that many posts, they had chances.
Yeah.
And it's going to bite you, right? At the end of the day, there's only one stat that matters, and that is the scoreline and goals. How many goals you get, you gotta make sure you have more goals than the other team to win. That's the only thing that matters in soccer. No matter how good you play, no matter how bad you play, no matter how much possession or how many shots you have, there's only one thing that matters. And Dortmund made that stat count. It's that simple as that. And they did hold them enough defensively and got a little bit of luck, but it's a lot on PSG as well, because those got to be goals.
Kylian Mbappe is off to a team that's going to the finals. That's where we think.
There's a couple storylines with these finals.
Storylines, but yeah, it's unfortunate. PSG's story continues of spending big, winning the Farmers League, and not winning the Champions League, right? And one finals appearance only. Everybody's like, oh yeah, Mbappe's going to do it without Messi and Neymar. Obviously not. And we'll see how that goes. Dortmund going to the final, and what could have been a repeat of what happened in 2013 in Wembley, where the final is going to be held this year. Unfortunately,
11-year anniversary.
Unfortunately, Bayern Munich, as good of a performance they had in these 2 legs, where we genuinely thought it was easy, PSG and Madrid, right? And to the point where I was prepared to come on this podcast and be like, yeah, we definitely cursed the hell out of this one. But Manuel Neuer having a masterclass of a game up until Joselu gets subbed in.
Before the Neuer part.
Okay.
the goal because Byron had a lead.
True. Byron had a lead, but okay, we'll talk about that. Canadian boy Alphonso Davies, the banger subs in on for early in the first half. I think because Nabry got hurt. Playing
Subs
more
as a winger.
Yeah, where he was known for as the Whitecaps and plays for with Canada as well. Comes in, scores a banger foot off his right foot, his weak foot.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then
That gives him, and I think that was up in the 68th minute, gives Bayern Munich the lead.
And then unfortunately, Thomas Tuchel decides to sub off all his attackers.
Musiala, Harry Kane, and
Carlo Ancelotti, who, by the way, they scored a goal, but it was called back because of an obvious foul.
Yeah.
Subs on Yoselu.
Hoselu. Who's Yoselu?
I thought it was Yoselu.
It's Hoselu. It's like Joselu, but like the.
And people are like, oh, what is this guy gonna do? Comes on, Manuel Neuer, back to the original point.
Yeah.
Having a masterclass of a game. First half was obviously boring. Second half is where all the action happened. Had a masterclass of a game, but then spills the easiest chance where everybody's probably gonna talk about, because that's how the goalie's life is. Never remember the good, always remember the bad. But then in his level, that was very bad. Drops the ball right in front of him, and he buries it. And then we're off to the 91st minute after that. And at that point, like I said, Harry Kane subbed out, Choupo-Moting subbed in, Musiala, who was having a great game, subbed out. So where's your attack really coming from? Davies is on the wing. You sub in Thomas Muller, great, but Thomas Muller isn't Thomas Muller like from 11 years ago as well. He's going to be slowed down.
He squandered one opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? I think this was before the Neuer mishap.
Yeah.
Is when I think Bayern about to counter, right? And if he played the ball properly into Davies, he could have...
it was a 4-on-2, right?
It was a 4-on-2.
Yeah.
He played the ball behind Davies.
Did,
right. If he played that ball in front of Davies could have played a through ball to the other guy. I forgot his name. I think it was Pavlovich. Right?
I don't remember, but yeah.
I think it was him. Who could have been easily in on a breakaway, but obviously the move got delayed, and then Modric was able to recover.
Yeah.
But what we like about Real Madrid and Don Carlo is that obviously it helps when you have money to spend and all that stuff. But like the system's set, right? Like you have a young guy in Tchouaméni in midfield partnered up with Toni Kroos. And then Tchouaméni comes off for Camavinga and Modric comes in for Kroos. Right?
Yeah.
You have the partnership of old, young, experience and youth, legs and, almost retired. And it's been a perfect system for them. And obviously then when needed most, you sub in an extra striker in Hoselu, you bring in Brahim Diaz. And after everyone was shell-shocked after the Neuer, especially the Bayern players, which led to Real Madrid's next attack, which we thought initially was offside. But Rudiger put the ball in perfectly. Hoselu tap in. That's all you have to do. Finishes the job. VAR review. Ref calls it a good goal. And the scenes erupt in Santiago Bernabeu Stadium.
But it still continues because there was drama near the end. And the game ended up going like a 6 minutes additional from the additional time.
Before you go on that, I just want to say this much. Hoselu and Choupo-Moting, they did it in a wet, cold, and rainy night in Stoke. And now they're in the Santiago Bernabeu playing in a Champions League semi-final.
I need Choupo-Moting's freaking agent, man.
That's crazy.
That guy got a PSG
Two Stoke strikers.
Yeah.
And one ended up, being the hero. And the other just somehow was in PSG and Bayern Munich.
Yeah. And going back to that thing, so then Bayern had a chance to tie it up. They tied it up. Technically, it was whistled before. So the issue what happened here was potential offside from a long ball. It fell. The whistle blows quick. They put the ball in the net. But unfortunately, they're not able to challenge the offside because the ref decides to blow the whistle.
Well, the lineman put the flag up.
Yeah, but that's fine. Yeah, because it's that too.
Because it's dead when the
I get that.
The lineman put the flag up.
But again, it's also the ref's discretion at the end of the day. But either way, both of them messed up. The flag goes up pretty quick. He calls it offside. And then if you look at the replay, and I looked at it before we hit record on this, by the way, just to make sure I'm not wrong. That was worth the look at the very minimum. Like I would have understood if it was like a step offside and that happens, sure. But this was worth the look because De Ligt Muller was further back, but he didn't challenge. I forgot the guy who challenged the ball was.
De Ligt's one who got the goal.
De Ligt's the one who got the goal, but De Ligt was, if you want to say, the arm was out, straight out, right, fully out, which means shoulder is that. I will agree that De Ligt was offside, probably 99% sure, right? Again, we don't know what the technology would have shown the whatever technology they use in Champions League for offside.
But the ball landed in Muller's feet.
Yeah, like he
That's
first of
why.
all didn't even challenge or win the header, right? So he drifted to the middle, went to Muller. Muller put it across, scored, right? So honestly, again, I don't know what they were gonna decide on that.
There are
What's
cases.
the point of VAR and having the rules of allowing to play on, and then that happens when at the most critical time where the game could be going to extra time.
Real Madrid did get away with this, and in a time when you have VAR, in a time where every single lineman and we get pissed off because in the most obvious calls,
They let it run.
they let it run. They put the flag up, like 5-10 seconds later, right? And everyone just gets mad, but just put it up right away. The one time you shouldn't put it up right away, you put the flag up. Offside, no offside. Goal, no goal. That flag shouldn't have gone up because there's no way you could call that offside, in live play.
Especially with his arm sticking out, right? Like
In live play.
Obviously, arm doesn't count. But what I'm saying is, the arm is sticking out, meaning if the arm was allowed, they were all onside, right? Which means that you have to see where the shoulder is at that point.
VAR had to have been in this situation, and the lineman just properly messed up. Byron have every right to be upset, right?
The lineman
It could've-
apologized after.
Bro, offside and no offside is a different debate.
Yeah.
The issue is you put the flag up early. The issue is this is a time where you don't put the flag up early.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why it went in his head, and that close of a call had to be under review because I don't know if you could see in the naked eye. You can't determine if that's offside or not.
No.
And we're looking at the screen itself and on the freeze frame. It's pretty, it's very tight.
So yeah.
Very, very tight.
Madrid got away with it because they scored a goal similar to that in the 91st minute where the flag went up a little later.
The flag didn't go up. Yeah.
Right? And yeah, it was unfortunate. We were probably going to have an anniversary
11
years later
anniversary Wembley rematch of Borussia Dortmund versus Bayern Munich, the Arjen Robben game winner. But there's also another storyline to this in this final with Real Madrid going in there, and that is Jude Bellingham is facing his former team in the Champions League final.
The Ballon d'Or front runner.
The Ballon d'Or front runner at the moment, and the team that sold him for, I believe, 100 million. And this is kind of remind me of the time when Bryce Harper left the Nationals, and then the Nationals won the World Series in MLB.
Yeah.
So let's see if Dortmund can pull it off. Obviously, we're not going to preview or predict right now because the match is almost a month away.
The other story,
But that's my biggest storyline so far. But
the bigger storyline could be Marco Reus could finally lift a trophy after being loyal all these years.
that is a sight to see.
Yeah.
Right? That's what makes grown men cry.
Yeah.
Sports.
Aguero couldn't get it when he lost to the City against Chelsea. I think he was still in the squad then, and he
Yeah,
left.
it was.
And now Marco Reus has that opportunity. Buffon didn't get that opportunity. It was against Madrid as well, with his last year in Juventus, I believe. So let's see what happens here. So yeah, June 1st is gonna be a fun day. Playoffs, like I said, are continuing on. So yeah, that wraps it up for us here as well. Comment your guys' thoughts down below. Make sure you guys, make sure you guys have the post noti bell clicked because we will be dropping the NHL one on Sunday. Filming that on Saturday. Just waiting on a couple of game twos to finish. One of them is our Canucks. One of the series could be ended by then. Who knows?
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah. So make sure you guys subscribe and hit that bell so you guys get notified. Like this video, comment your thoughts down below. Follow our socials, link down below. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We post there. We'll try to post there more often now, especially with the playoff games dying down a bit. And audio listeners, keep downloading, rating, and reviewing the podcast. We appreciate you guys as well. And yeah, other than that, we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Peace.